Hey, what's up? What's up, St. Louis? And what's up, Kansas City? This is your boy Musa with Mo Futbol. And we're kicking off a brand new episode here where we're actually talking to fans across the US to talk about their experience when it comes to soccer/football. And also, try to get to know people a little bit more and, maybe sometime go across the being rivals. But at the end of the day, we start to find out that even though the sport is global, that means we might not be the greatest fans on one side of the world. But then we'll come to find out that on another team across the pond, we are actually fans of the same club. So that's always refreshing to get the perspective of many people across the globe. So today I have the pleasure to have Hank, a diehard Sporting KC fan. St. Louis, I know. Just take it easy for a little bit. But Hank, how are you today?
I'm doing good. I just watched one of the most difficult games I think I've ever had to watch as a Sporting KC fan, and but a win's a win. I can't fault them for winning, so I'm doing pretty okay. So
Nice. You made history too, so hey, when you're on
yeah,
the
it works.
yes, it good or bad history is still there. No one can take that away until they decide to do the same.
Absolutely.
Excellent. All right. So just to rewind a little bit more, could you tell us a little bit about yourself, and how did you get into, we'll say, the sport of football first?
Yeah. So again, my name's Hank Salsbury. I'm from Overland Park, Kansas, which is a suburb of Kansas City. And I can't really pinpoint like a great starting point for when I started like really enjoying soccer. I mean, I played, as a kid in those, little grassroots leagues. And that started at, 4 or 5, and then just going all the way up, I played until my freshman year of high school, where my abilities just kind of died out on me. But I think when it got to fourth or fifth or sixth grade, I can't remember. I started really getting into soccer in both the United States and in Europe. And we'll get to that when we start talking about Chelsea. But yeah, it's just kind of been my lifeblood since then. I literally every single day live, breathe, eat soccer. I mean, it's always on. A lot of that comes from FIFA. A lot of that comes from watching Sporting KC all the time. A lot of it comes from Twitter, talking SKC all the time, and a little bit with playing now and then when I can. So yeah, it's the greatest sport on earth. I owe a lot of my happiness and life to it. So I can't live without it.
So you will say happiness and sadness, right? Because
Oh yeah,
yeah,
gosh, happiness and sadness,
yeah,
both sides. I obviously being the SKC fan in the last couple of
yeah.
years, it's been both. So,
I would say as a football fan in general,
oh yeah,
if you don't live through all those stages, you have not lived yet.
no,
The way I see it.
absolutely not.
So was there a player or a moment that kind of was that moment that says this is my sport versus the others, because in the US you guys have a lot of choices to go
Oh yeah,
what. So what was that moment or player that says soccer football is my sport?
I think again, like you said, being a kid in the U.S., you had so many options to choose, so many different things. And I played baseball, I played basketball, I ran track and cross country, so I had my hands in just about everything. But for soccer, hilariously, I got FIFA 13. This is a terrible explanation. I got FIFA 13 for the Wii um, as a kid, and like I had no idea what any of it was about. Like I saw some of the players and some of the teams, and Andre Schurrle on that game for Chelsea was just a demon for some reason. And I just thought it was so like I just really got into soccer. I started watching Chelsea from there. I think my first game that I fully watched was it was Chelsea versus Palace. Eden Hazard scored a goal, and like it's just kind of one of those things where I can't pinpoint like an exact moment, but like it was just such a quick like avalanche of events where I just got deeper and deeper and deeper into it. So
Oh wow! If one of your first game was Eden Hazard play in the EPL, then that was a great moment for you too.
yeah,
And I
it was
think that's
crazy.
probably perfect advertisement because he was amazing
He
dribbler.
was a
So
baller.
yes. So if you watched him, I totally understand how you got hooked to
Yeah.
that. In 2013, so that was one almost some of the good years. So
Mhm.
thanks to FIFA, perfect timing.
Yeah.
And so it looks like for that's across the pond. So you
Mhm.
kind of follow the blue collar because it looks like now Sporting
Yeah.
KC now have blue as well. So was there on the KC side of things, was there a moment that says, Sporting KC is my, or I guess at the time Wizards, or
Yeah, no,
was it
Sporting KC at the time.
okay?
So I mean, my family to start wasn't a huge soccer family. So like my brother and I were kind of the first ones to like bring it in full force to,
Mhm.
what my parents watched. So I remember when Sporting won in 2013, when we won MLS Cup that year, like we were at a Christmas party, and it was just kind of something that was like something that was up. It was an early Christmas party, but it was
Yeah.
something that was on the TV kind of in the background. But I remember watching that and thinking, oh, that's super cool that we have a team that's really good. And they stayed really good. I mean, they would make the playoffs almost every year.
Yeah.
And then I really got into it, I think, once I, I have a really strong pull to that 2018 team, where it was, one of the first years of Johnny Russell. It was Diego Rubio, who was just on fire for the back end of that season. And I think that's when I really started to get deep into it. And then, like I said, I think having a presence on Twitter started to light that up a little
Yes.
bit,
Yes.
through COVID, and then through the last 5 or 6 years. I mean, it's been pretty recent getting heavy into it, but I have a picture from, I think it's 20, it might be 2013 or 14, but it's a picture of I was at a game, and I was in I was lucky enough to grab some tickets to be in the boxes,
Mhm.
and I have a picture of me with Aurelian Collin, who was one of our big bad man center backs
Right.
in those years. But the funny thing was that since my parents and since me and my brother didn't really know a whole lot about soccer at the time, we didn't know that he was one of the players. So my parents saw him, and he's this huge French dude with a massive V-neck, and they're like, we should probably take a picture with him because he looks like maybe an athlete. So
Yeah.
that's one of those funny instances where I can really tie my Sporting KC fandom to.
Yeah, nice, nice. So now it's like that's quite interesting. And you see a French player, so
Yeah.
being French, I guess I might have to research him a little bit more um, to see who that guy is. So do you remember like your first SKC game and
Yes. Yeah.
how was that?
So yeah, I mean, again, like that first game, I think that I went to, we were up in a box, so like it's totally different from being able to be down in the Cauldron. But I remember my first game in the Cauldron. I was in high school. I went with one of my best friends, Evan, and it was an insane game. I think we played the Revolution, and it was like a 4-4 game or something like that.
Nice.
But at the time, there was a group called the Fountain City Ultras, and I mean they had these huge flags that were waving all through the game. I mean everybody was waving flags the entirety of the game, and to not to say that that's died out completely, but it definitely has a different vibe now. But I mean, I just remember watching that game and kind of having that experience being a fan in the Cauldron at that point, and it was amazing, and it's something that I still haven't been able to stop. No matter how poor we might have been in the last couple of years. I mean, when we had that 10 game or 9 game, whatever it was, winless streak to start 2 years ago, I was going to two of those last couple games where we didn't win. I was at the game this year where we started winning against St. Louis, so I had to
We don't
come home for
remember that
that.
game, but
No, yeah. But like it's just I've made so many friends in the Cauldron, and I've brought so many of my friends who don't watch soccer or aren't from Kansas City, and they love it just the same as I do. So, uh, yeah, I mean, sporting's just been such an amazing community and experience for me, and it's a team that I'll die for. So,
nice, nice. So yeah, so and you mentioned the Cauldron and bringing some of your friends to the match
mhm.
day experience. So, if you were talking to someone that's not really used to that experience and more, Americanized sports,
Mm.
how would you tell them, that match day experience as a sporting KC fan, especially on the supporter section? since you're pretty much the I almost call it, that section is like probably the biggest fans of that team because they
Yeah.
spend crazy amount of time supporting their team, good, bad, and ugly.
Mhm.
So for you, how is that experience going to the stadium or even preparing for it towards the end?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's a full day experience. I mean, I usually get there when gates open, and then I have to wait an extra hour, 30 minutes for when the seats open, and then you sprint down to your seat. So like, it's something that if I was gonna give somebody advice on how to approach a game in the Cauldron, like you have to or you should give it your all. Like it's not something that you kind of just go 50-50 into. Like you're there to support the team and to be that passionate voice and those staple fans that are able to carry the team through a game. So it bugs me if somebody isn't clapping or if somebody's not yelling if they're able but it's something that I go into and I'm always giving 110% when I can. So that's just my thing, is that it's 100% experience and that you really just have to go all in for it.
How you give 100%, not only on the Cauldron but also online. So I can definitely say yes. You're
Yes,
you're all
absolutely.
there. So and on that part, so and they have now we have the new rivalry between Sporting
Mhm.
KC and St. Louis. Even though you guys are like the OG of it, St. Louis is still on
Mhm.
their discovery phase, we'll call it.
Yeah.
But how it's like for you, that've been sporting KC for so long to, having now, a rival pretty much 3.5, 4 hours away.
Yeah.
Has that made it a little bit more fun? How is that experience for you outside of, I'll say, Twitter, because that's a
Yeah.
whole nother beast.
That's a whole different beast. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I think having, because before you guys came along, obviously it was Salt Lake who was our main rival. And that was because of, a preseason scrum and then MLS Cup in 2013 and a couple of other run ins. But I think Kansas City and St. Louis, sports wise at least, have had that rivalry for a long time. I mean, you go back to the I-70 series, like between the Cardinals and the Royals. I mean, that's still talked about today on both sides, where St. Louis fans will complain about the call at first, and then you'll have Royals fans who, I wasn't alive, I wasn't even a concept for it, but
Mhm.
I've heard it from them who,
Yep.
say, well, you still at game 7. So there's always been that rivalry between the cities, but I think it was just kind of the quickness, like it developed so fast into a rivalry with the whole cease and desist situation, and then
Yeah.
there was the soccer capital argument,
Mhm.
and like that, it all kicked off so quickly that I think everybody was immediately kind of into like all right, let's do it, like this is it, like these are our guys now. Um and yeah, it definitely makes things more fun. Like my friends from St. Louis who I go to college with up here in Omaha, I mean, we're always at it, when we're talking soccer. And I love those guys. I haven't met, some bad people from St. Louis, but I think it's just fun to, just say, hey, my city's better than yours, my team's better than yours, and have that headbutting. But I also think that with us having that history of being such a magnet and a staple for soccer in this country, that when St. Louis came in, and it was immediately like we have the history too, and it was
Right.
like there's that argument still. So I think it just kicked off so fast, and that's what made it so fun. And obviously it dies down when we're both not in playoff contention, but
Mhm.
the feelings are still there. So
No,
yeah.
I have to say, even when both our teams are not doing great, we're
Yeah.
still able to compete with the big rivals that the West Coast or the East Coast.
Yeah.
And I think even history wise, I'll probably say San Luis Kansas City probably has the longest history. Um, doesn't feel as makeup as like, oh, of course you're both teams in LA, of course you're gonna be rivals.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely. Yeah.
here it's like it's not just one sport. It's like when someone might just flip it and say, "Hey, well, how about you don't have a football team and then baseball?" So it's like there's always something.
Yeah.
I guess to have a fun conversation about.
Yeah.
So have you been to City Park just yet, or
I
Energizer
have
Park?
I haven't been to Energizer Park yet. I haven't seen it in person, but I mean I've been to St. Louis since you guys got the team,
Right.
and I mean I will. It's impressive that they're everywhere. I mean, obviously there's no Rams things, and there's really not. And I don't know. I would expect there to be more Cardinals gear everywhere, but I mean,
Mhm.
like there is a lot of that, like Volt pink everywhere. Even though when I see it, it makes me gag just a little. Like
Fair.
it definitely is out there, and I guess I'll give kudos to St. Louis fans for being so out there already. So
Uh, I think they just been dying to have a team for so long that when it was like gas with in the air, and it just
yeah,
waiting for that ignite to happen. I'm a transplant to St. Louis, so it was always fun for me to see the battle between Kansas City because um, some people come to me and say, football. I'm like, I don't watch football, so those
yeah,
don't really hurt,
yeah.
or baseball as well too. So um, I think it's quite interesting and it's fun to watch. And that was one
Mhm.
of the reasons why you were one of the first one that I thought, hey, you know what? If we're doing the fan talk, why not have someone from Kansas City and have one of the more, I guess we'll say, sane person, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because on online it can go very crazy
It can
quickly.
get violent. So
Yes, but at the same time, once it gets in real life, then those people you usually don't see them as
no,
much.
yeah.
So I've been to Sporting KC games. Everybody was friendly, nice. Have a good time. Came back here same way around. So I always like to have that picture painted that you
Mhm,
know online people and the ones that you see at the stadiums are totally different set of people,
mhm.
and it's usually amicable unless alcohol has something to do with it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's there's a lot.
Yes. So, and you mentioned that you're also going to school in Omaha here.
Mhm.
So just talking soccer, just in general, have you gone to any of their local team? I think
Yeah, the
Union and
Union.
others.
Yeah,
Yes.
those are my two Union Omaha scarves that
Nice.
I've grabbed. I went to I don't have a lot of time when I'm up here,
Yeah.
during the school year, but I've been very good at picking the games that I go to for Union Omaha. So I went to their U.S. Open Cup game against the Des Moines Menace
Hmm.
last year, which had Roger Espinosa on the other team. But that was the first game that I went to, and I mean, it was really cool watching Union Omaha and their supporters have
Yeah.
like a huge march before the game. It was kind of a cold night. I think it was a Tuesday as well. Like it just wasn't the greatest conditions,
Mhm.
but I mean, they still showed out. And then obviously I went for when they played Sporting in the U.S. Open Cup. I think it was 2 rounds later or 1 round later. But I went obviously to cheer for Sporting. But
Yeah.
I mean, that almost the stadium that they play at when they choose to play at it because they play at two different parts.
Mhm.
It has one like main grandstand, and I mean that whole thing was just about in that Volt green. Like the
Nice.
whole thing was packed, which was awesome.
Mhm.
And then I went to the USL League One final
Mhm.
against the Velocity. I think that's who it was, and I mean. Union Omaha just bossed that game, and there were flares, there were flags. I mean, they had tifos and everything. It was one of the best atmospheres I've been at in all of sports, which
Nice.
is something really cool that it's in Omaha and it's a USL team.
Mhm.
Before I got really deep into the MLS, I mean, I had no idea that USL, any of the leagues, championship, one or two, I had no idea that they were a deal.
Yeah.
And there are these teams that might be really small, but their fans, are just like I am with Sporting. I mean, they're completely diehard, and it's really cool to see.
Nice. Nice. So even though we're, I guess, MLS geared, I guess, fans at most.
Mhm.
So and you were mentioning, the other team. So how does that make you feel now about grassroots soccer in general, knowing that maybe we see a little bit more of the MLS, but there's still all of those teams that have diehard fans. So
Yeah,
how does that make you feel about grassroots soccer a lot more now than before?
I mean, I think going into it, you just don't. nobody covers, those USL teams as much as they should probably, and I think that's changing for the better currently. I think like teams like Union Omaha, or I'm thinking of the Switchbacks in Colorado. I'm thinking of
in the 11th.
yeah,
Yes.
Indy 11. Like those teams are getting a lot more coverage right now, which I think is great. But I think that, it's something not that's threatening to the MLS, but I think it should definitely be taken note that these teams are catching up. These leagues are catching up fast. Maybe not economically, but the level of play on the field is never like that different, because I mean,
Right.
we see it in the Open Cup all the time where there are those cup sets where a team from USL League One will just dog walk an MLS team, and it's awesome. So that's the thing with promotion and relegation in the United States, is that I would love to see it get all the way up to the MLS and see if they can work together. I don't think they can, but I mean, I think it's going to be interesting to watch pro and rel in the USL in the next coming years. So
Oh yes, and I think especially growing up watching it, I think as people starting to see maybe USL, the teams going up and down, and maybe other investors starting to
mhm,
see how even lucrative it is, even if you have a small team and you're able
mhm.
to kind of move up. And the American wise things, if they
Yeah,
see that if there's money, it makes sense for them.
it's there. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I MLS might not be threatened for a very, very long time, but they might in some time, in maybe not in our lifetime,
Mhm.
but it will probably will be a full blown, because or else the rest of the world will continue to walk, to beat US easily if
Yeah.
that investment is not there. And all Americans are buying English soccer teams, so why not have them, come to
Yeah.
their own country
Somebody
and
come
buy?
over here. Yeah.
Yes. So, so talking to that grassroots soccer. So in next year, pretty
Mhm.
much they will be the FIFA World Cup.
Yeah.
And I guess fortunately for you guys, you have a football stadium, so you get to host some of those games.
Yeah.
So how it's the hype for you first of how it's having World Cup games
Mhm.
in your backyard, and then how is that hype in Kansas City as well for that?
I think for me, I mean, I can't remember if I don't think they've announced the games or like the groups that'll get to play in Kansas City, but whoever is in Arrowhead for those 2 or 3 games that we have, I mean, I need to get one of them. Like it's definitely a bucket list
Yes.
deal. I think if you're a soccer fan in the United States, and especially a soccer fan in Kansas City, because I mean, this is something that the city has worked so hard for, over the past couple of years. I mean, the streetcar and trying to, get that out as far as it can go, and developing, all these different, great entertainment districts and hotels. And again, the streetcar. I mean, having another world class facility in CPKC down by the river. I mean, I
Yes.
think those things have really helped, grow the legitimacy of the game, in the city, and especially in a global like aspect. Like I think FIFA is looking at Kansas City as like this is one of the places for soccer in America, um, and it's bigger. Like I am biased, right? But I think that there's more, like love for the game in Kansas City than there is in New York or than there is in LA. I get it that there's a numbers deal,
Yeah.
but I really think that the city as a whole is just so amped to have this opportunity to host the world and show off Kansas City, and I think
Yep.
it'll be really cool just for everyone involved. So,
Mm. Oh, you have a point. Especially when it comes to the Midwest now that I live long enough here, and I've been in a lot of the cities.
mhm.
I'm still like, amazed of like if they say when you go to Kansas or Missouri, it's a lot of farmland or anything. But
Yeah,
if you think about it, really, it might be soccer field, farmland, soccer field, farmland,
yeah,
soccer field,
yeah.
and every
It's crazy.
weekend there's something happening. I have kids that play soccer, so
Mhm.
literally town when you see those parks, it's nothing but soccer. Um, Birthday parties, oh, we have a soccer tournament. So I think the Midwest probably not getting enough credit for soccer
Hmm.
because they think it's, West East. But I'm definitely impressed on how the Midwest is showing up. When it comes to soccer, just in general,
Yeah.
it just maybe the rest of the world don't really know as much.
Yeah.
But Casey Curran is doing a great job having,
Hmm.
all their great players also being internationals. Um, I, I'm still amazed how Kansas Sporting KC is able to get, French, Brazilian, Mexicans, to come
Hmm.
to. Maybe you should tell us the secret because,
Yeah,
you
all
know,
you guys get is Germans.
we need a little
It's
bit
the
more
fun.
diversity, I guess,
I
for fans.
know.
But
You got the Zonde Silva guy from Atlanta, so he's
yes,
Brazilian. That's
yes,
that's that's
yeah.
a step.
We have three Brazilians now.
Yes.
Yes. So I think, and that's what the amazing part I think is how you guys are able to bring, more people on there. So
Hmm.
hopefully you don't do as great against St. Louis, but continue to at least broadcast that the Midwest will have a great World Cup, and hopefully
Yeah.
we'll host one in St. Louis too. So um, hopefully that will work. Um, so on that part, as a U.S. Soccer fan, so
Hmm.
how do you feel about the chances of the U.S. national team? We'll say get out of the group stage
Yeah. I mean,
first.
I think that it's so hard because I feel like this team changes on the day.
Mhm.
I mean, coaching is not the most consistent thing in the world in the United States or in the men's national team. I mean, our striker changes based on the month. I mean, I don't know. So I think if we have players like Pulisic, like Balogun, like Sargent stepping up, I think that offensively we'll be able to produce. But I think it's just the level of defensive play because I think that's what we really lack. I think we have one of the best. We easily have the best midfield in CONCACAF with Adams and Reyna,
Okay.
and all those guys. But I I don't know. I really don't know. I want to say that we can get out of the group, whatever group we get, but at the same time, I mean, when you look back at the World Cup in Qatar, I mean, we just didn't look like we deserved to be on the same field as the Netherlands, and that was in the very first round. Um, I mean, we hung with England, and you beat Iran, but I struggle. I struggle to have high expectations for this team just because I know that it takes. I mean, like the Dutch haven't won a World Cup, and they
Yes.
pioneered the sport. Like I'm not expecting them to win the World Cup. I'm not expecting them to get second or third, but I think we're to a point where we need to be expecting more than to just get out of the group. I think that's our first hurdle to get over, and then we say you need to win that first knockout round game. Like you need to get to a quarterfinal. You need to get to a semifinal. So we'll see. I mean, again, I feel like there's a lot of time between today and kickoff for the World Cup where so many positions, so many coaching, details could change. So I guess we'll see. I'll be able to make a better prediction, in next year. So we'll see. We'll see.
So when it comes to the tournament, what will make you feel a bit better is that the way they perform, but still maybe not match, is because the other team is better, or just a placement will it's what you're going for. Like,
I
how
think
would
it's
you see it?
I think it's how we perform and how we stack up against kind of the world's powerhouses. Because I mean, if we get a matchup against France, okay, I'll go back to that England game. Over I think it was either on no, it was on Black Friday during the last World Cup, but yeah, that game against England, I think that was a really good like litmus test on where we stand and that we can compete with people, but that we lack that breakthrough part where it's like you can hang with England, with Italy, maybe with Germany, hopefully. I mean, Spain's amazing. I just we lack that. Those teams have quality at every single position, and also, I mean, their backups are world class. And I don't think the United States has that right now. I'm not saying that we can't have that in the next 2 years or a year, but I think it's just what we want to really look for is how we stack up against whatever world power we go against. in the World Cup, because I think it's bound to happen. I don't think we, just walk through and play Sweden and Switzerland and Venezuela. Like, I think we get somebody who's a titan, of the global game, and we'll have to figure out how good we are then. So
Yeah, they might be kind enough. Because I think if I watch the last groups for all the
mhm.
teams that are hosting, usually they kind of have maybe a little bit well easier, I guess we'll say, pathway.
Yeah,
So I guess we'll just determine on how the group stage looks like. Um, and I guess they have no excuses. They are at home, so
yeah,
the motivation, there's not much of a motivation you can get than the whole world's watching you, especially your country's watching you.
yeah,
Um, and
absolutely.
and you guys Americans have a high standard, so um, it will
Yeah.
be a high make or break, especially for athletes, especially. Um,
Hmm.
Awesome. So yeah, and when so I guess the other question now, knowing talking about just world football in general,
Hmm.
um, now we know that you watch Chelsea.
Hmm.
So how is that, to watch MLS, your Sporting KC, and then watch your Chelsea team? How do you balance those two worlds?
I think, I mean, I put almost all of my eggs in the MLS basket. I mean, I'm always up to date on what Sporting is up to, and also what the current are up to.
Yeah.
But I think Chelsea is something where, I check it. I watch the games, but I'm never like, I don't know the personal lives of, Caicedo or Cole Palmer like I do with Joveljic or Jake Davis or stuff like that. Like, I think that's the fun part about MLS, is that you can get hilariously close to the players on a personal level. Like, I think it's funny when, people who work for Sporting KC have said, like, oh, I've seen your tweets, I've seen, some of the memes that you make or whatever. But then it's also funny when you're like out at the grocery store and that's your left back, just like standing there
Mhm.
getting milk. Like, I think that's something really unique and funny about the MLS, which I love. But I think balancing it is just, I have more passion for where I'm from, and for the people that I get to sit in the stadium with, instead of being that guy who's like a Euro snob, like, who's just like, oh well, I don't watch MLS, or I don't watch the US men's national team because it's not the Prem, or it's not La Liga or Serie A. Because I definitely know those guys, and I go to college with a lot of them. Because I mean, the odd look that I get when somebody's like, oh, like soccer, what's your favorite team? And I go Sporting, and they're like, that's not Barcelona, that's not Inter, that's not some big team. So yeah, no, I love Chelsea, but I think as time has gone on, and as I've gotten more into the sporting community, I think I've definitely put all my eggs in that basket.
And
So
I definitely respect that. And those Euro snap, you can don't even have to pay attention to
I
them
know,
because
yeah.
um and especially for me that grew up in Europe and watched
Mhm.
football and all that. So I always respect, it's your local team first and
Yeah,
then your selected team after. So anyone that says they don't watch it because it's, MLS is not up to their standards, but
yeah.
they're still born and raised here. They have not
Hmm.
gone there yet. Like, take it easy a little bit. But
Yeah.
uh, yes, totally appreciate that part. Um, and I think as the last part of this podcast here. So I know soccer has given me a lot when it comes to
Yeah.
work, friends, lifestyle, and the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Mhm.
So how and I know you put in a lot also for Sporting KC. So um what would happen, for example, if this says MLS is shut down for the next 2.5 weeks?
I
How would
mean,
it be like?
I
Is
don't
that
know. I mean, I remember that with COVID
okay? Yeah.
being just so odd. I mean, and that was with all sports, that,
Mhm.
it was something where once you don't have it, you don't really, you don't know how much you valued it until you
Yep.
lose it.
Yep.
And if that happened with sporting or with soccer in general, I mean, I've told people that I'd be like, I wouldn't know what to do,
Mhm.
with my time. I mean, it, so much of my day, and how however sad this sounds, when I'm done with my work, when I'm done with my schoolwork or with talking to friends, like it's immediately on to something SKC related. It's immediately, going and looking stuff up. It's playing FIFA. It's going out and knocking the ball around myself. Like, it's such a big part of my life and part of my like go back to like my relationship with my brother. Like he plays soccer and like he's also much better than me and than I was. So like I kind of like live vicariously through him when he plays well, because so like I think that's something that like really strengthens us. And obviously I have those ties, with my friends and who I've gained through the Cauldron and through playing soccer with them over the years. So yeah, I don't know what my life would look like, and frankly, I never want to know what my life would look like without soccer. And I'm sure you share some of the same
Yes.
sentiments. Because I love other sport. Like I'm a huge Chiefs fan. You can't see it, but I have my huge Chiefs flag up.
Mhm.
I'm a huge Chiefs fan. I love the Royals. College basketball up here in Omaha is a huge deal with Creighton. Um, but soccer is seriously the cornerstone, of everything athletic that I love. So I really have no idea what would happen. I mean, look at I wouldn't have this whole wall here. Like it just
Yeah.
it would
Yes.
be odd. So who knows?
Oh yes, I know the feeling. There's jerseys, scarf, flag. Yes,
Yeah,
it's very time consuming, expensive, troublesome, and all the above.
yeah,
I will say. So yes, definitely appreciate your time, and I
no
think it was
problem.
one of those fun conversations to know the other side. I think you call the enemy line, but I think for us now we're more in the middle because we have Chelsea to kind of,
Yeah.
being the peacemaker between them all.
Mhm.
And fun stuff. I actually went to school in Kansas City. Actually for 2 years at North Kansas City High School.
Oh yeah.
So that was right next to I guess the current new stadium.
Yeah.
I think my school is probably 15 minutes or so from it. So I always have that, the fun thing where I'm a City fan, and that's why people know me about. Even though I did live in Gladstone, Missouri, North Kansas City, so I have that tie. But it's like, unfortunately, I did not. I watched one Wizards game.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, at Diehard Stadium, and that was when I was fresh from France, watching
Mhm.
PAG and all that play. So
Yeah.
that kind of took me away. So I've never went back. So that's why it was kind of an easy transition. I'm not having to follow Sporting KC and went straight to St. Louis. I know you guys have that joke for a lot of the people that were
Yeah.
craving for soccer, that so they had to be Sporting
Mhm.
KC. Um, so I totally understand that part, and it's the fun
Yeah.
of the world. So how are you looking up to probably not this game, but the next one where um, Sporting KC comes to St. Louis for that game?
I don't think I don't want to say I'm scared, but I think historically you can look back and see that I every time we play a game at City Park or Energizer Park,
Yeah,
every time we
whichever
play a
case.
game there, it's somebody scores 4 goals, whether it's us or whether
Oh yeah.
it's you guys. So I love having that in my back pocket that we are the only team that has won
Mm,
in the series away.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I think that's great. And this is going to be my soapbox moment.
Mm,
To if you are a City fan and you are watching this, stop calling it City Park West. Stop it. It doesn't make sense. You've never won there. You got 1 point when we were limping and awful,
mhm.
and yeah, I will never understand that you can't call somewhere where you are not historically good. You can't call it your other stadium. And that's why I don't call Energizer Park, Children's Mercy East like consistently. I'll make that joke every now and then, but it's not like I don't have a T-shirt or a bag or a flag that says it.
Yeah.
But no, who knows? I mean, I think actually, if we can pull this up, I think right now we
I
are
think we're
above
dead.
you guys.
Yeah,
I think we're above
with
you guys in the
goals.
table.
Yes. Yeah, well, I think with goals because we we cannot score goals for the
No.
life of us. So we'll
There you
so
go.
we'll have to delete that section of the
Yeah,
video.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's on goal
Yes,
differential, but
yes.
it's yeah.
Hey, you're
So
it's still so we'll give you credits because
yeah,
that was what we were kind of talking about. Um, and I think most of the people that called it West because of how many
yeah,
people they were able to, and I think
hmm
there was still that funny talk where I think
hmm
the volume had or the music had to go on up because city fans were
yeah,
loud, or I think that's probably that part. And I did
yeah.
mention also maybe we should not call it if we cannot beat them
You
at home.
can't win there. Yeah.
Yes.
So
So hopefully they will be hopefully it will be entertaining game, and maybe Sporting KC cannot win here because I don't think you and your friends will stop for the whole entire year until
for the
next year.
year, yeah.
Yes.
I
Uh,
think because if I can't remember correctly, but I think we have two games in St. Louis this year. So I think
yes.
this is the one because we always get three and then we trade off who gets two. So I think this is your year to host twice.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, obviously, if we can't shoot at all for a game, then that would probably be an issue again. I don't see us ever winning a game like that again.
And
But
we can
you
shoot,
know,
but we cannot score. So it's
it'll just end 0-0. Who knows? I
hopefully
mean,
not.
if hopefully, and you can bookmark this, if anybody wants to. But I think if I'm going to give
Yeah.
a score prediction, I'm just going to say 3-1 or two. I'll go 3-1 Sporting KC when we travel to
Whew,
St. Louis
three
next.
goals. All right.
I think I think this team has a really high ceiling. I
Mhm,
still think that we can finish. I think we can grab a playoff spot. I really think that.
mhm.
I obviously I don't want to go streaks where we win 3 of 5. I'd like it to be 4 or 5, or you just don't drop points for 5 games,
Right.
or you don't lose for 5 games. But I think this team really does have that ability to, I mean, like we showed in San Jose, to explode for goals. I mean, I
Yep.
think we can score 3 or 4 pretty consistently, which I'm not saying will happen, but I'm saying that we definitely have that ability to go above and beyond and really stun a team away. So
Yeah.
I know that didn't happen tonight, but I think we're capable, and I think we'll go into St. Louis and grab another win. So
Yeah, you have to create your chance. That own goal did not
absolutely,
happen by just accident, right? So
no, yeah,
that's why I tell people you have to create your chances, and either you'll finish it or someone else will help you. And
yeah,
fortunately for you guys, um, Yoshima helps you guys quite well.
yeah.
So
It was awesome. And for you guys, I think for that game, I want Berkey to be healthy. Just
yeah,
so we can put it past him, and there's not that like, oh well, we had a backup. Like I think it's better when these teams are both at full strength. I think it's better when they're both in playoff contention. Not that it's bad when it's not, but I think having those high octane matchups really brings out the best in like both teams, both fan bases, both cities in general. So, I'm excited for it. I don't think I'm going to travel for it because I think I'll be working. But I'll definitely, what I will do. I am traveling to Colorado in the next couple of weeks, and I believe you guys play the Rapids while I'm there.
our good friends.
So
Yes.
I think and I don't know my schedule yet, but I think I'll be able to catch a game there. I will have a Rapids kit on, but
Oh,
I have
yeah,
one. I have relatives. My girlfriend's from Golden, so I have a Rapids kit.
yeah.
So that I'll probably wear that if I'm there. But no, yeah, I mean St. Louis has been a definite thorn in our side, but I'm super happy to say that Kansas City has the edge historically and
Uh,
currently. So
well, we'll give
yeah,
you guys that part for now.
yeah,
I guess the little brother still has to work his way up, but yeah,
hmm
but I think it's just showing that for the whole American country in general that there's history during
yeah,
in those cities, and that it's just a matter of time for MLS or others to kind of bring those teams those cities against each other,
hmm
where then it becomes more organic because I think a lot of us have surpassed some of the West Coast and East Coast.
yeah,
rivalries, pretty much. So, um, so with that say, could you tell the people, how they can follow you on social media, and if you have anything coming up other than Colorado trip?
Yeah, so you can follow me my at on Twitter, or I because I still call it Twitter.
Me too.
My at on Twitter is at Hanka Toplanka. There's a funny story behind that, but I can tell that all later. So it's at Hanka
We'll have to hear it.
That'll
Yes.
that'll that'll be another day. But so yeah, at Hank at the Plank on Twitter, and
Mhm.
that's really the only social media that I have a presence for soccer on. I
Okay.
I I have other Instagrams under the same handle, but Twitter is my main beat. I do have a blog, but I don't really know if I've posted on it 2 or 3 times. It was more for a history class that I was
Okay.
taking, but I posted twice about sporting on it. So yeah, Twitter is where you can follow me. And as of right now, I don't really have uh, much coming up other than I'll finish this academic school year
Yes.
in the next 2 weeks, and then I'll go back down to Kansas City. And I'll be playing pickup on Thursdays and Saturday mornings. I just got these this morning, so I'm happy about those.
Nice. Look at you.
Happy about those. So yeah, I'll be playing pickup around Kansas City when I get back there, and then obviously I'll be going to as many sporting games as I can when I have the time. So that's my main goal, and I'll keep it going. So
Nice, nice. So you don't only talk about it, you also touch grass, which
oh
is
yeah, I
always
yeah
the
I
way to go.
I think that's the funniest thing when I watch people on Twitter, and I'll fall into it myself when they criticize a player for not being able to do something. I mean,
Mhm.
there are so many times where I've misplayed a back pass and had it stolen and take it all the way to the goal. Like it's hard. Soccer is not an easy sport.
Yes.
Even if you have you're gifted with an insane amount of talent. Like there's so much that goes into playing a wall pass or making the right run. Like I think it's hilarious when I watch people on both sides just criticize something that happened. I'm like, okay, you go do it. Like it takes a lot. So
Oh
yeah,
yes. Oh yes. It's the fun part, and that's why it's online, because you those of us that I guess touch grass,
yeah,
sometimes their comments are a lot more sane. So yes, so
absolutely.
definitely appreciate the time, and I know you still have to celebrate your Sporting KC game. Made history, which you can't
Yes.
complain about.
Nope.
And those of you that listen to these podcasts, on YouTube or Instagram and all the other fun stuff,
Mhm.
make sure you like, subscribe, and make sure you follow Hank as well for the Sporting KC fans. St. Louis, he's one of the good guys, so we'll be kind of him, and we'll know the difference when Hank
Mhm.
tweets. I saw your funny, I guess, meme that you had for Sporting KC on, I guess, zero shots. I believe that was on Twitter.
Oh yeah, the
Yes,
the Han Solo one that I
yes,
made. Yeah, yeah, that was a good one. I whipped that up, and it probably took me a couple minutes, but yeah, that's my thing right now. So
yes. A creative at the same time. So yes, so definitely appreciate your time. Hopefully we'll see you either at Children Mercy Park or Energizer Park in the coming weeks, days, month, or year.
absolutely,
But other than that, definitely appreciate your time. Good knowing a little bit more about who Hank is outside of the memes and Twitter.
yeah.
I
Perfect. No,
hope.
yeah, thank you for having me. Sorry, yeah, thank you for having me. When I saw that text back in April that you were doing this, I was like, oh yeah, absolutely. I'll definitely cross the enemy lines for this podcast. So yeah, this was fun, and yeah, hopefully we'll be able to talk more at the next SKC St. Louis game. So yeah,
Yes, absolutely. Yes. And I'll be doing that for pretty much all of the teams first. We'll do MLS, and then we'll start going down USL, and hopefully all the way, maybe even high school, because I'm
yeah,
part of the group that also promote that side. So just trying to bring all the fans share their stories, and, that's that's the better way to enjoy the sport itself. All right.
absolutely.
So appreciate your time, everyone. And as always, enjoy the sport and less social media and touch grass more.
Yeah.